Squilliam Fancy Son! Squilliam Fancy Son!
Squilliam Fancyson is a fraud. He is not the successful musician or entrepreneur he pretends to be. In the episode Band Geeks is the first episode where we encounter Squilliam. Squidward is playing the clarinet when out of a sudden he's interrupted by someone at the door. When he opens the door, he finds it to be Bikini Bottom's doctor, allegedly from a pet hospital down the street, which does not exist. The only hospital I've ever seen was the one SpongeBob has been to, all the time. And by the way, it is not a pet hospital.
Yeah, we're with the pet hospital down the street, and I understand you have a dying animal on the premises.
I feel bad for Squidward, even though him playing the clarinet does indeed sound like a dying animal. Squidward then receives a phone call from none other than his former high school classmate and rival, Squilliam Fancyson. This is the first time we see Squilliam, and we immediately notice that they look very much alike, except for Squilliam's mustache unibrow. We instantly realize that the pet doctor was a childish prank by Squilliam.
I'm living your dreams, Squidward.
So yeah, this basically means Squilliam was spying on Squidward because he knew when he was playing the clarinet and has the money to hire fake vets to prank Squidward. But it doesn't stop there. Squilliam knows exactly where to hit Squidward so it hurts. The fact that Squidward is an artistic failure and works at the Krusty Krab to make ends meet.
I hear you're playing the cash register.
This causes Squidward to eat his own words and just ends up asking Squilliam how his unibrow is doing. But this is just the start to Squilliam's plan to humiliate Squidward. Squilliam announces that he's supposed to play the Bubble Bowl the following week with his band. Squidward begins eating his own words again, and then Squilliam tells him,
I'm living your dreams, Squidward.
Up until this point in the episode, there's been no evidence of Squilliam having a successful band. But Squidward just accepts this because he believes Squilliam is better than him. And we believe it too because as the audience, we trust Squidward. And now that Squilliam's got the attention of Squidward, he says, the problem is, I'm busy next week and can't make it, so I was hoping you and your band could cover for us. The problem is, of course, Squidward does not have a band, but because of his jealousy and wanting to prove he is better, he decides to lie about it and steps right into Squilliam's trap. He posts flyers around Bikini Bottom looking for people to join, but then, on the first night of rehearsals, he realizes that none of his bandmates have any experience with instruments, which leads to horrible band practices over the next few days, which ends up in a huge fight between them all. Finally, on the night of the event, Squidward decides to cancel his band's performance. But guess who is there?
What are you doing here? I just wanted to watch you blow it. So, where's your band?
They couldn't come. They died.
Then who's that? That would be...
What is going on here? Why is Squilliam at the Bubble Bowl? Wasn't he supposed to be too busy to attend? By him saying, I just wanted to watch you blow it, he admits that it was all to humiliate Squidward, but could it have meant that his band was never meant to play the Bubble Bowl, or that his band actually exists? This is the first huge clue that he's an imposter. Squidward is in too deep and is forced to perform. The episode ends with Squilliam fainting because Squidward's band that is led by SpongeBob does amazing, so Squilliam goes even lower the next episode. The next time we see him is in the episode Squilliam Returns. Squidward is on his lunch break and is already in a bad mood because he's stuck as a cashier at the Krusty Krabs. As soon as Squidward goes outside, he notices Squilliam walking up his way with a group of fishes, which is obviously planned as we hear Squilliam talk about his rich life.
So, I just took my private yacht across my private lake to my private heliport. It's the only way off my private island.
Squidward tries to get rid of his Krusty Krab hat, not wanting Squilliam to see that he still works there. But, as he turns around to bin it, Squilliam pops up in front of his face. Squidward, once again eating his words in Squilliam's presence, just asks him,
Hey, what you been up to? Oh, just succeeding in everything you failed in.
This makes Squidward get a little angry, which we would not expect from him. The only time he is mad is with SpongeBob. Once again, he walks into Squilliam's trap. This is where Squilliam asks Squidward what he's done with his life since they last met. Squidward's answer is simply just food service. I can't fault Squidward for what he did next.
Don't tell me! You're a cashier!
Squidward then decides to lie about him owning a 5-star restaurant to make himself look better.
I own a 5-star restaurant! Squidward, I had no idea you were such a success!
Oh, come on, Squilliam. At least pretend to sound like you believe the poor guy. But no, what he does next is just horrible. To prove Squidward wrong, he makes a reservation for himself and the group of fishes that are with Squilliam. I don't know if the group of fishes were just coincidentally around when this scene happened, or were part of Squilliam's plan, but they sure weren't his friends. Let's not forget that he hired pet doctors in the previous episode we talked about, so it wouldn't be something new for him to be paying these fishes to be with him to humiliate Squidward. A few hours later, Squidward's attempt to turn the Krusty Krab into his own 5-star restaurant goes unexpectedly. SpongeBob, who is helping out Squidward, gets the hang of things and leaves Squilliam quite impressed. Okay, everyone's minds were blown, even Squidward's and Squilliam's group of paid fish. But of course, SpongeBob ruins everything, going insane after forgetting his name and causes chaos in the restaurant. Squidward is forced to tell the truth, which leads to him crying in front of Squilliam.
Oh, Squiddy, I'm waiting.
Okay, I admit it. I'm a fraud. This was all a futile, pathetic attempt to impress you. This isn't really my restaurant. I'm just a cashier.
Squidward, I understand. I have a confession to make myself. I made everything up about my life.
Wait, what? So, he admits to making everything up. All his friends, his money and success, his musical talents are all made up.
Is that true?
Of course not! I'm filthy stinking rich! Come on, everyone! Let's all take a ride in my balloon/casino!
Oh well, okay, that answers our question. He also convinced me for a quick second. I asked myself, did anyone actually see this balloon casino? Not to mention the hooray from the group of fish sounded suspiciously rehearsed. Well, things get even more suspicious in the House Fancy episode. Squilliam's home is featured on House Fancy, where we finally get to see both the inside and outside. The inside of his house includes an elevator with a built-in hot tub, decorative toilets with golden toilet paper holders, a rooftop garden, and a hilarious sculpture of his unibrow. Honestly, this convinced me that Squilliam is extremely rich. But is this his actual home? By showing off his house on House Fancy, he accidentally reveals more than he wanted to. From the outside, the home looks like Squidwards, but Squilliam's has a couple stories and a rooftop garden. But where is the private heliport and private island he spoke of in the previous episode? If it was true he had a private island, he would have mentioned it on House Fancy, since he always loves to show off his expenses. Professor Squidward, the episode. Professor Squidward starts with Squilliam receiving a huge applause from an audience, although something is off about this show.
Isn't it grand?
What is?
He's such a great musician. He doesn't even have to touch an instrument to be brilliant.
Dude, what? This guy is straight up glazing Squilliam, like what is that? Playing a show without even touching the clarinet and all that applause? There is no chance that he did not pay the audience. Every single encounter we have with Squilliam, he always brags about how rich he is, or just straight up humiliates Squidward. But what he is trying to prove in reality is that Squidward is the actual imposter due to him quote unquote wanting everything Squilliam has. The biggest proof of this is where Squidward is mistaken for Squilliam by the school headmistress as he walks out of the show.
Aren't you the esteemed Squilliam Fancyson III, who we all came here to see perform tonight?
At first, Squidward denies this, but then he changed his mind, and she gives him an offer he couldn't refuse.
Fancyson, I would offer you the high-paying and prestigious opportunity to come there and teach your very own music class.
Squidward immediately says that never mind, he is Squilliam. Teaching a music class has always been Squidward's dream, and Squilliam knows this very well. The first clue we get that this is all a setup is that SpongeBob and Patrick are there, as well as a few of the group of fish we've seen hanging around Squilliam. Of course, this results in a disaster when finally it slips out that he isn't Squilliam. And before you know it, there are police outside the class waiting to arrest him. The police come in, along with the music headmistress and Squilliam Fancy. The music headmistress shows the differences on how easy it is to distinguish the two. What the heck, weren't you the one who mistook Squidward for Squilliam at the start? It's actually all a setup. That's right, Squilliam set him up once again. In the end, Squidward gets arrested for impersonating Squilliam. The fact that we haven't seen him play a single note on an instrument. What do all these clues mean? Is he actually rich or just pretending to be? And why does he keep trying to make it seem like Squidward is impersonating him? Let me know in the comments if you think I'm crazy. Well, that's all I got for you guys. If any of you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below with video recommendations.